Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the O Tours. I am tGrass, joined as always by my co-host KRC Pinto. What's up, Pinto?
How's it going, y'all? Hope you're staying hydrated and happy out there.
And we have our first guest on the show, Mr. Kizzie Kay. Kizzie, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How's it going with you,
We
tGrass?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm actually super excited to have you on. You're the first guest to come on the show, and definitely someone I was looking at for a while. So I'm glad we were able to link up and do this. So,
Likewise.
man,
I really appreciate it. So thank you for the offer, and thank you.
no problem, no problem. But man, what a time that we are in currently as fighting game players, as a whole community. There's just so much going on. We have so many good things going on. We have tons of games coming out. Everything's getting rolled back. Everything's getting such great community support. And then we have the dumpster fire that is twitter.com. You know, it's really great. We have something to look at every day. It's not always a great thing, but we have a lot going on.
Yeah, it's true, man.
Every day's an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'm gonna say is, we got Guilty Gear Strive out. We've been out for 3 months at this point. I know you as an expert veteran, you are deep in the scene. I'm just saying, as of right now that we have a patch at least two, how are you liking the game? How is the game for you?
So when I first kind of like was watching it slowly become something completely different, I was a little concerned. I was like, oh, I see what they're trying to like do here, but they're really, really doing a lot of things that I feel like other developers did, and like their first year of the game was very underwhelming, right, as a product.
Right.
So I think I guess they were like, yeah, we are just pulling and pushing in things and we're actually just playing like Jenga in a lot of sense, right? They're like playing like Jenga a lot, and uh, something almost fell, and I guess they were like, well, we don't want anything to fall, so what we're gonna do, we're just gonna at least bring the actual new people in, which is I think is the most important thing for this game. And I also think it's very good that they did that as well. So my concerning was they wasn't going to get none of it done, but thankfully they did, and I'm very happy that they actually did so. And overall, I am happy that their goal of bringing new people worked, and I think that's the most important thing that I'm really looking forward to because I think we need a lot of fighting games that's going to bring new people and also bring like a new group of individuals that not only play but also support and also recognize the movement that not only players do but like everybody in the scene that does what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super cool. Like, Guilty Gear is like, I would say, the first game that's come out in the next generation of fighting games. What I mean by that is I feel like Dragon Ball was like this bridge because there were so many people that came into the scene from Dragon Ball that had never played fighting games before that became like hardcore players. Right. Pinto, Dragon Ball was my first fighting game I took really serious, and I feel like so many people have just gotten to the point where like they play Dragon Ball for a few years. It's been out 3 years now, and they're like, whatever comes out, I'm gonna play it. And like Guilty Gear was just the first game to come out that's like really just kicked everybody up. Like especially anime games right now. I think anime is super popular in the scene, but like Guilty Gear has been like so huge. There's so many new players. So many people being like, oh, it's my first Guilty Gear, or oh, it's my first fighting game. I didn't play Dragon Ball or any of these other games. So there is, like you were saying, like that new generation of players that are really coming through right now.
Yeah, I personally think what really made Strive be like that bridge, the actual official bridge, is not only that they were behind Dragon Ball and was able to get Dragon Ball such a strong IP, and everybody is like, yo, I want to give Arc System games a try, right? But their marketing was actually very good. They did a very, very good job of marketing for Guilty Gear. And then as I looked and did research, it makes sense why their marketing was so good because Namco was behind it. So that's
Mm.
also a very important thing to keep in mind, the marketing. And then on top of that, we are in a pandemic, and most fighting games that are the newest right now are very, very uh, below average when it comes to being stability and bringing stability into online. And because we're in a pandemic, this is like the first big brand new game that not only opened the bridge for everybody, but also opened the bridge for people who want to play competitively in a
Right.
decent environment, and it brought Roll back in. So I felt like Strive, I was literally preaching this for a long time that they could go two ways right now. They could be like the savior of everything and do all of this, or they could just drop the ball and like everything goes downhill. But right now, I feel like they actually succeeded, and the numbers show. Not it's not about what the people who are going to be playing the game longer feels, but it's more about like what's the actual decent goal. The decent goal was to get people interested and buy the game. They indeed got people interested in buy the game to buy the game. So I honestly think there was a lot of like variables of why Strive is so successful now, and I'm really glad that Arxis is actually putting their name out there because they made some pretty great games.
Yeah.
And I just genuinely hope that they stick to their what they truly believe in, not even just Strive, but just more of just like what makes Arc System work so special.
Izzy, if someone pulled you aside like a couple years ago, you were like happily playing Rev 2, and they were like, "Hey, next Guilty Gear game is gonna be the biggest fighting game in the world for a hot second." Would you have like been believe them at all? Like, would you have ever assumed Guilty Gear was gonna be as huge as it is in this moment right now?
Uh, Rev 2 actually was almost there, believe it or not. Rev 2 was almost there. Revelator was actually almost there. The biggest issue with Revelator was at the moment was again no marketing. The marketing, no one knew about it. But Revelator as a whole was almost there. It was almost like everybody was about to get into Revelator. But the problem is again net code, and then on top of that, no marketing skills. So for somebody to tell me to pull me to the side and be like, "Yo, Strive is going to be the next big game," in the back of my head, I would have been like, they have to be really, really putting money behind something for this to be a real thing. And they actually did it. So good shit to them, honestly.
Good shit, Dice K, right?
Yeah, good
I,
stuff to them.
I think it is a funny thing to talk about because I personally have said it that like Xrd is like the greatest game I never played, because by the time I heard about it, it was like years down the line, and the local community by me was already so small for it that I was like, yo, if I knew about this game when it was releasing, like I totally would have played it. The art's sick, the gameplay's sick, like all the characters seem super unique. But I definitely think that you're so right with saying like there was just no marketing behind it. Like the game was so good, and just like the only people who knew about it were either deep in the scene or like, oh, I played Guilty Gear, I played it as a kid, or I've seen people play it at locals and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wasn't originally a Guilty Gear player. I actually switched from Capcom games to actually play Guilty Gear.
Oh,
So,
okay, I didn't
you
know
know,
that.
I yeah, I learned about Guilty Gear kind of late. Like I matched a little around like a Guilty Gear game, but to say that I was competing or like good or know what the hell I was doing, I actually didn't know anything what I was doing. But when Xer came out, I say, yo, I want to give this game a shot and like, to see what it goes. And it was a journey for me. So like I went up there with absolutely zero experience, but it was as you said, because I was deep into the scene and I wanted to just play good games. I actually gave it a shot. So it was actually one of the best experience that I had. But as you said, man, like no marketing. So that's the reason why nobody played the game. That's what I truly believe. I believe that the game just had no marketing skills. This is right when Guilty Gear, I wouldn't even say Guilty Gear. This is right when fighting games were starting to get that big loop or jump, I will say. That was when Street Fighter 5 came out. So that was when like, a lot of big companies were kind of like coming in, walking in and stuff like that. Again, no marketing, no nothing. And again, like, we're talking from a company that is basically living in an island. So I have to acknowledge that they have like an island mentality. Uh, Even truth be told, you have an island mentality, right? So like their marketing is probably just like, yeah, if Asia sees it, the world sees it, right?
Right, that
And
makes a lot of
that's just
sense.
yeah, and that's just not how things work. Clearly, and they just never understood it until this year. And then now all of a sudden they invested all of their time into marketing, and whoopie doo, 300,000 units sold the first week.
Which is a
I hope
ton.
I really hope they're setting like marketing benchmarks for the other fighting game companies to take note of, because like I think that it should be standard to do the starter guides that they did. Like those
Yeah,
things are
those were
great.
so good. They were
The, o-
they were huge for the game.
the only other
Yeah.
game I've seen do that is I stumbled across, because I've been poking through some Marvel stuff lately because I'm on a Marvel kick, and I stumbled across Infinite did that. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has some starter guides from Capcom, but I've never seen anyone else do that. I always just see trailers. But those starter guides are so like the game released and everyone knew exactly who they were taking to the lab first because they had already seen the whole move set. They're like, okay, I want to mess with this. This looks sick. Let me just go test this out, see if it works. So I think
A
that's
little
brilliant.
a little company a little thing that they did too is they did a little bit like that for Cross Tekken and Ultra Street Fighter 4. So like Ultra, they only did a little bit of it, and the reason why I say that is because they talked about the changes of the characters, but then it gave you examples of the changes, right? But let's say, for example, if that game just came out, they could have brought an introduction video there. But because the game was already fleshed out, they only could give and talk about what was the difference and what was the changes to give it that type of feel about like, oh, I could do this and stuff like that. But Infinite did do that. Another game that actually that was also pretty good too. Again, was Cross Tekken, with the character changes for them as well. But again, timing was really bad. But yeah, Infinite was really good, and I also think yes, the videos actually helped drastically because again, you was able to get to see bits and pieces of like what to expect and things like that. But again, we didn't have any of this, and honestly, I hope that other companies sees that too, but already seeing like kind of like how like Melty Blood, for example, is doing, and King of Fighters is doing, they still didn't get the memo, unfortunately. You could just tell by those videos that they didn't get the memo. We don't even have like a beta for any of those games. We got no announcement, no nothing. They just giving us like 4-second clips of characters and like that's it. And like when the game is like around the corner, we're finally getting like actual gameplay, but it's only showing like one aspect of the game, not like aspects for like other people, right? But again,
Yeah.
so it seems like they didn't get the memo, and that's already concerning. That they probably think that the reason why it's doing so good is because they made the game more simplified. Simplified, right? That's new. That's the new lingo nowadays.
Yeah.
Simplify, right? But they actually don't know that the marketing was actually the biggest play in the world. Marketing is powerful, and
Yeah.
people don't know how strong marketing is.
Yeah, I think Melty could definitely benefit for like a newer audience from doing similar character videos. Like something I've noticed is like, they've been putting out those like match videos the past couple weeks where they like take two characters, pit them together, and you kind of watch the way they move and like what they're going for. And guys like us are watching this FGC guys, they're going, oh, that option beat that option. Oh, that was sick. Like, oh, that's fast, like whatever. But like a casual audience person who's watching that is just gonna see like Kid Gohan watching Yamcha fight a Cyberman is just moving fast, like they don't understand what's going on.
Right.
So like those character breakdowns, like people have to adopt that. It's such a good tool.
Yeah.
So good.
It's a great tool, actually. It's actually one of the biggest tools that will also make fighting games get bigger, hence why Strive so well.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like such an important thing. Like, not even just the character guides. Like, Guilty Gear put out like the whole thing. Like, this is how the whole new RC system works. Like, before you touch the game, this is the whole RC system. Before I had watched someone like Giuna explain things in Multi-Blood, I'm like, what the hell is a moon drive? What's a moon skill? I don't know what this is. I played like NBAA, and I was like, oh, I get it. I get how the shield works. It's kind of similar to Reflect from Dragon Ball a little bit. But you're watching these like 1v1 matches that they're uploading, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell is going on. I need someone to translate the Japanese manuscript they put out to explain the videos. And it's
Exactly.
like, man, I want to play this game, but like they're making it kind of hard for you to like they're making the door way too high already. Like
Right.
if someone's like, "Yo, I love anime. I want to try fighting games. This game Melty Blood's coming out. Guys, we should all buy it. Tell all your friends that." And then you're like, what the hell is a moon skill or anything like that, or your arc drive or anything? You're like, I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah, you know what's funny? You're gonna laugh at this, but the Roman cancel in Strive is actually harder than Xrd.
It's harder.
It's harder to do in Xrd, yeah, because of the variables of Roman cancel. But because they had a video explaining how the Roman cancels work, people think it's easier, but it's
Right.
actually not easier. Extra wires, Roman cancel is actually way more easier. Why? Because there's not a fast Roman cancel like type of mechanic there. It's only yellow. It's yellow Roman cancel, which you could do in neutral state. It's purple from recovery and red from hit stun, right? So it's like those three, right? But in Strive, it's like you have purple for recovery, red, and then you have fast red, fast purple. You know what I'm saying? And then like in
Yeah.
neutral, you have blue. You have blue fast. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's like 5 Roman cancels in like one
Hmm.
versus just 3. But people subconsciously believe that this one's more easier because they actually don't know that the video just explained to you
Yeah, it
why,
taught you well.
how
It
to
was
do
it
it.
was a good guide. It told
It
you
was a
like
good
the
guide.
game.
Yeah,
Like and
exactly.
like if we didn't have that guide, I probably to this point we would just start to figure out BRC and BRC mix and stuff like that now. Because Blue RC personally in the game to me is like the one that's like this is where all the crazy shit's gonna happen from. Like these mix-ups that you haven't seen before, all these like weird like frame delay advantages that you get. Like it all comes from the Blue RC. And because they had a guide be like, hey, this is really good. Let's show you how to use it. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I get it because it was taught well. But if they just threw us in, we'd be like, I don't get what this is useful for. What am I doing with this? It,
I
it
think
becomes like a
like
bad mechanic after, well, people will call it a bad mechanic at that point.
I think it's like especially crucial for like those mechanical breakdown videos when you make up what the thing is called and it doesn't have anything to do with it actually does. Like a great example is like last year, I had not played a Guilty Gear game up to like last December or whatever, and then rollback drop for Plus R. Jump in and everyone's saying like FRC, like you gotta like I don't even remember what the F stands for FRCs, but you get the FRC points, you do the Roman cancel. But like when I just hear people say that, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't know what Roman cancel. I thought it was like something I had to do, like, like a special cancel. Like I had no idea before I looked it up. But like the Roman cancel video going into Strive lays out what the mechanic is. Like that happens so often where they just make crap up. Like what's your Lumina drive? Like when Uni's a great example. Like, go Vorpal. What?
I
Yeah.
looked that up the other night, actually. I was
Do
doing
what?
trials.
Yeah. I mean, I also feel like the lingo in the fighting game scene also doesn't help new people
Yeah.
to game. And then another thing too is like developers. I don't even think they even know the lingo. I don't think they know the lingo. I mean, hell, I read one of them used Okazime and they used Okazime incorrectly from the developers backyard. And I started
Come
laughing
on.
because I laughed because I'm just like, oh, they said that they want to like reduce Oki, but then when you play the game, Oki is powerful in this game. It's actually even worse, even more oppressive. So for them to say they want to make it less oriented when it feels more stronger, I was like, I think they don't know I think they don't know what this term means. So again, it's a lot of misinformation, and I feel like because people use lingos, it also makes things just like naturally learning a game harder.
Yeah,
So
I think,
I've been trying to like also word myself properly where the way I speak, it doesn't sound like I'm actually talking in the fighting game scene, but more of just like in a general standpoint, right? Everybody I think now understands what Oki means, or I try to say hard knockdown. I say, yo, hard knockdown. So hard knockdown is a very easy thing to get. It's a hard knockdown. A person fell hard and he has to get up. Like soft knockdown, it's like he gets up fast, right? So I've been trying to use like things like that just to slightly help, right?
Yeah.
Obviously it could be improved, but I feel like this is a baby step to the right direction.
I feel like that approach has definitely like likely contributed to the like boom your content has seen over the past year. I actually saw I think Hold Back to Block's making something on Marvel vs. Capcom 2 right now. And they posted a little clip yesterday that was Maximilian dude like talking about like his content, and he was saying that like one of the big switches he made was like he was making tutorial content like however many years ago, and he just realized that like that's only appealing to like very specific like deep entrenched fighting game people, and like the moment he realized that what like the general populace wants is just like a celebration of the game, and like he could talk about it in a certain frame but like it had to be like accessible to everybody, like that's when he exploded as a content creator. And obviously
Yeah,
now we fast forward to now and he's
yeah, he's
the Twitch
actually one of
rival.
the. Yeah, he's actually the biggest content creator. He broke boundaries and like and I'm happy for him. I'm happy that shows that it's possible. Obviously, you just have to find your own direction. But I feel like the base format that he used, you could take that base and then you can master it your way.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing that people don't get. But unfortunately, people in the scene unfortunately don't understand that. And the reason why they don't understand that is because their mind is in they're thinking as if like if you get into the fighting game scene, you have to be a top player. You have to do this, right? You have to do that, right? And that's why we have so many like I feel like I'm gonna go into a rant, so I'm sorry about this. But
Do it.
You're all
Take
good.
it.
so that's why we have like a lot of like disconnects about like, you know, like the players versus the commentators versus the TOs versus the casuals versus the newcomers versus the new players versus the top players versus the mid players. Like there's all these factions, right? And the reason why all these factions are all created is because of bad wording. Bad wording and not knowing how to move forward together. And that's always been like the biggest issue because one person feels like they deserve this, one person think they deserve that, other part to think they deserve that, which in a sense they are true to some merit, you know. Specific groups do, I mean, they should get appreciated. Honest opinion, right? They should get appreciated. But it's just how you go about it, right? Like if you walking in saying I deserve this, like person's gonna look at you, right? Average person's gonna look at you, but like you don't deserve anything. I mean, I've done all of this. I deserve this, and then that's when you get like a conflict right there, right? It's just poor choice of wording, and like because no one don't understand that they're actually shooting themselves in the foot by mashing on words. We actually don't get anything done, and then the cycle continues until somebody decides to wake up in the morning and start the cycle again. It's almost like they pause the
Man.
VCR and they like, I don't want to watch this, and then they wake up in the morning and just press play, and then it just replays again, right? And then like they rewind it, and then they press play again, and it's the same shit, right? It's the same shit, different day, and it's all because people are just mashing on words, and they always complaining about the problem, but it's never a solution to the problem. So because no one has found the solution, and the reason why people haven't found the solution is because when somebody does put a solution out, people bombard it with like massive wrong information, and then on top of that, negative information. And then instead of like thinking about what the person said, they're thinking about what the person who said negatively, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's an idiot," and you just ignore the fact that this actually is helping us. But we're like, nah, we want to shit on this guy first. And then one shit, two shit, three shits, four shits. And then that whole thing right there that could be saving us right now is just being completely ignored because somebody wants 700 retweets for shitting on this one guy.
Man.
You got to trademark the phrase "mashing on words."
Yeah, mashing on
100%.
words right there.
That's Justin Wong, dude. So shout out to Justin.
Okay.
Justin, okay, yeah, mashing on words. That was a good one there. But man, you just hit so many good topics all at once. Like as far as like you went into a little bit of like content creation in the scene as like players and stuff like that, and then you talked about like so much of what we've been seeing on Twitter, which is just like the TO versus the player versus the commentator, blah blah blah, and like. You know, the player side says something wrong about the TOs, and the TOs say something wrong about the commentators, and the commentators say something wrong about the players, and everyone's like, oh, well, I heard this from this person. Well, it's like, well, that's not true. You know, this happens another way. And everyone's like, oh, I didn't know. But everybody sees, like, the one tweet where it's like, you know, someone being like, fuck commentators, they get paid right away, they get paid too much, players work too hard for this, blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like, yeah, let's hate all the commentators. And you're like, man.
Yeah.
If people just took an extra second, like we wouldn't have these situations all the time.
And it's all poor wording. And I mean, Twitter is not a good place for perfect wording to begin with. You could literally, like Dragon Punch, for example, you know, you could tweet the word, yo, that was a very good DP. And then with that context, no one know what that means. But if you're in a fighting game scene tweeting that, people will see that as a Dragon Punch. And everybody will be like, yeah, that was very good. But then if you were just walking into the scene, you're definitely being like, yo, are these people okay?
I saw those your tweets from like last week, right?
Yeah.
It was literally almost exactly that. You were like Dragon Punch. I meant Dragon Punch. My bad.
But again, like, you know, that is not a perfect way to do it. But on top of that too, it's like the way people go about it is so incorrect. It's so incorrect, right? So we could go back on content, for example, right? So you know how you said that Maximilian literally changes his wording, changes his formula, and that's actually what you're supposed to do. If you're trying to get people into the scene, you need to speak a different language. It's like going to a different country. You know, you can't be going to Japan speaking English, thinking that everybody's going to understand you.
Right.
You gotta learn their type of language. You gotta learn their lifestyle. You gotta learn all of this stuff, right? So you have to. It's a skill set. So you gotta learn a whole new skill set while keeping your skill set intact. So again, that's a whole different ballgame. So that means that jumping into a different area, you have to learn these new things. But the problem is people are bringing their old ways into the new thing that they are trying to bring into, and it's not working out. And they're mad because the only people that they're actually bringing are helping is their lifestyle. It's the people that also are just like them, and it's a very small percentage. There's not a lot of great players in the world, you know, in fighting games. Like if you look at it from the mass standpoint, it's like 3%, 1%, 2%.
Wouldn't even say that much in the
Yeah,
grand
wouldn't
total,
it say
right?
that? Yeah, wouldn't it say that much? Yeah, wouldn't it say that much? So again, you're trying to talk to people that already probably think that they're better than you, and you're making a video about how to improve. They probably already think they're good because they won a tournament, you know, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, I'm already winning, so I don't need this video to help. But if this person needs it, then I'll send it to them." And then that person is like, "Well, I don't need it. I'll send it to this person." And the person's like, "All right, well, I'll watch it." And I'm like, "Well, I don't understand it because I just started playing fighting games, so all of this is not helping." And then you realize that the people that you're trying to help don't understand what the hell you're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
don't understand what you're talking about because you're not changing your language. But instead of people trying to learn this, and Maximilian actually said it, and then people bashed on him for it, and then I also told people as well, and then I got bashed on for it. So I told him myself, I said, well, you know, sometimes there's two different directions in life that you have to go. You go the hard way, or you go the easy way, right? So I try to lead them to the easy way, right? Get the knowledge and stuff like that to start the hard. But no, you want to go the extremely hard way, which is fine. Either way, as long as you're successful, that's all I'm happy for, right? But they went the hard way. So that means that they're going to have to go through all of the trials and tribulations or whatever they got to go through to get whatever goal they want. But while they're going that, you know, there's a lot of like animosity that, you know, grows from that hard route when you see somebody else doing something, right? And people feel like they want to start hitting buttons on the keyboard and thinking that that's going to be okay, but nah, you know, it's not okay. And again, that's a big problem. It's just this is why we have a disconnect. It's because no one knows what they don't know the actual formula of how to get people outside of their comfort zone. You know,
Do you think, as a creator, that's like a reason that there are so many channels in the fighting game community? Like, a lot of people have been starting up YouTube in the last 2-ish years, before the pandemic and mostly with the pandemic. That you know, I've been really going hardcore into content, and like, there's a lot of top players who can just kind of get away with just uploading ranked or sessions and stuff like that, and they're like, "This works for me," because some people just want to watch me play, but then. All the people who watch them are like, oh, I will also do that since I also want to create content. And like, it just starts this like giant echo chamber where like, if you type in like Guilty Gear Xrd Soul, it's 50 to 100 people just uploading like ladder matches and stuff like that. And like, the scene as a whole pigeonholes itself into this area. Like, there's why there's so many people that are like stuck under 100,000 subscribers. And then everyone's like, I don't get it. Like, Max is at 1 million. Why can't we hit 1 million? There's a million fighting game potential fighting game players following him. Why can't we get there? You think there's like a disconnect in the content, in the scene, that why people like stagnate or struggle to grow based on the content?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, bro. I see it. I mean, one of the things is like when you upload a match, that means you have to assume that this person has nothing to do for about 30 minutes. And with that logic, you already are messing up.
Yeah, I've seen a lot, like a lot of your the videos you upload. Like, if you upload like a tournament run, it's not like every match you play. It's like highlights. Like
Nope.
you get hit with a big combo, they get hit with a big combo, something funny happens, some like weird lag thing happens, and those are the things you see. And a lot of it is like most of the things you see, I feel like in the videos is like you in between matches, just like making a joke or talking with chat and like like going over what you played. But like a lot of people are just like, here's my hour and a half run in like
Yeah, no
this
one has.
tournament. Like nobody's gonna watch that, right?
Yeah, like the way I look at things nowadays, as time progresses, people have things to do. Not a lot of people have the best attention span, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But the formula I'm trying to go, I call it the on the go, right? So, when you're on the go, you want to get all the nutrients that you need. You need to get all the information that you need. You need to get everything that you need to go as you're going before you get to your destination. And that's kind of like how I try to make my videos is basically it's on the go. You grab it's like fast food, right? It's like a Subway sandwich, for example, right? You go to Subway, you pick your bread, you pick your veggies, boom, toast it, boom, you out of there, right? You got
Right.
all of the stuff that you need. You get a bag of chips, you get some juice, whatever. You got all of that right there. You don't have to go to the grocery store, walk through the aisle, pick the favorite bread that you want. Go get the cheese that you need. Go get the meat that you need. Go get the lettuce. Oh, they out of lettuce. I need to go to another store. Oh, they out of here. I need to go to here. I got to go here. And then on top of when you get everything, now you got to wait in line because everybody else decided to buy a sandwich that day. And then you know what happens? You're like, F this. I just go somewhere else. And that's
Yeah.
basically how it is. So my goal now is to, just to keep it on the go, keep it on
I
the
like that
go
a lot,
where,
honestly.
yeah, so people can get all of the nutrients and all the information that they are getting while also being helpful at the same time and also being funny. You get you get all of it in one, and that's kind of like the push that I'm getting. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just, uploading a match and like, sometimes, bro, like, people don't understand what you're doing on the screen unless you have something to talk about, like it's very important to kind of have something to talk about, like at least like doing something. But when you just have the matches and then there's nothing happening, it's just like, all right, well, I mean, I'm not learning anything. Unless the people who are like, yo, I want to learn this character and
Right.
I'm gonna watch this person play, or I gotta play this guy in tournament, then I'm gonna watch this video. When the next time that's gonna happen.
It's rare. It's rare. It really is.
One of my favorite things. I don't know if you guys watch JM Crofts much,
I
but
do.
like he posts a lot of gameplay videos, obviously. But like one of the best things I think he does, and I don't know how the hell he does this while he's playing, but he calls out every single thing he goes for. He's like, oh well, let's try this mix up and see if they take it. Oh, knocked him down. Oh, what are we doing this time? Oh yeah, that Oki. And he like somehow keeps that rolling while he's actively doing all this stuff. And like makes his gameplay videos so much more entertaining because you understand exactly what he's doing and when and why. And like he explains it actively while he's still like beating some dude's ass and ranked on Dragon Ball. I'm just like, dude, how in the world does your brain process fast enough to say out loud, like, yeah, I'm gonna throw a rock, see if he holds it, and then go for a low, and then that's what you do. Like, and that's
Yeah.
within like 3 seconds of space. It's
And,
crazy.
and that's why he stands out as a content creator
Mm,
because I feel like that talent is a powerful talent to have.
Yeah.
To
yeah.
sit there and basically tell the people who are watching you that this is going to happen. Let's see if it happens or not. But I think it's going to happen. Oh, it happened. Boom.
Yep. And then to when it doesn't happen, to just be like, ah ha ha, that's sick. They didn't hold it. Like, and he's just like chill as hell while he's getting,
Yeah.
TOD'd. Like, I don't know, man. That's a special skill.
It's because he's a
Yeah.
Skullgirls player. They got to be able to. Brain has to go zoom. Another thing I want to ask, honestly, about content is, as the scene, we talked a bit about it right now, but do you think specifically, or you could think of anything that the scene is missing from the content creation side? Because I feel like so many other gaming communities have, like, you go to, like, Call of Duty, like, people are like, oh, this is the guys who, like, make the builds on Warzone, these are the guys who play Warzone, these are the guys who talk about, like, the weird intricacies and, like, technical stuff of it. Like, do you feel like we're missing something in the scene as far as
Yes.
content?
We are missing the most obvious thing. Literally, that is also a big reason why we are not doing well right now. I mean, we're doing pretty okay. We're actually doing pretty nice.
We could be
Actually,
doing better, though, I feel like.
we could be, yeah. But it's like a it's like we're doing right to the C, like our grade is a C.
Yeah, we're
We're
passing.
passing.
Yeah, we're
We're
definitely passing.
passing. You know, we was D a couple of years ago, but now we're like C. You know, we got C plus. You know, stuff like that. Like we're just getting by. But literally the most obvious thing that is holding us back is collabs. There is
Yeah,
no crossovers.
I
So
agree.
half the
100%.
people don't half the people don't know these guys, other people don't know these guys, and then that is the biggest issue. It's like there is no collapse.
You
Literally,
know what?
that's the problem.
We've actually talked about this on here before, I think, tGrass, but like something that I think that like makes that hard for fighting games is that there's no cooperative play. Like it makes it so hard because like, you know, if you're looking at like Valorant blew up so hard, but you 5-man squad up to go play Valorant. So there's like an opportunity to collab that way. Like, you know, Warzone or Fortnite or whatever, like where are we dropping guys? Like that happens. But like if you look at something like Rhyme Style and C Reacts and those guys, they do like the
Right.
Three Idiots like raids in Dragon Ball. Like
Yeah,
they've done
that's
really
so
well with that.
good.
So I think you're 100% right that like people need to find opportunities for that sort of thing.
So I have a couple of ideas that I think. I mean, I did actually a video for like a collab when I was doing Evo. I was in the call with Kami and Lord Knight, and we did like a collab run on the stream where we were just all in a Discord call. And we were just like talking and we was laughing. We was like talking about like how you feeling and stuff like that. Like we were all like joking around. We was cheering each other, watching each other's match, laughing. So I also think there is collab opportunity for Guilty Gear, but I think or not Guilty Gear, just fighting games in general. But I think the biggest issue right now is I think a lot of people just don't have the skill to like play and like be able to like also like communicate what they're doing. And also on top of that too, like they are so just like very hard of just like they don't have like working together skills outside of like one aspect. So I also think that's another thing that is probably holding back. But yeah, I did a collab video with LK and Kami, and a lot of people actually liking it. It was like, yo, people should do this more. And like, yeah, we should do this more. You know, honestly, as a whole, we should do this more. But
Yeah,
that's not it's not happening for some reason.
I think that's why the team battle stuff that's gone on, like when it comes to, you know, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast versus EU, I love watching those because it's like all the players are sitting in the call, or it's like Punk's playing and everyone's like, yo, beat his ass, this guy's trash, or like, you know, like the banter is good and everyone's making jokes and having a good time, and you get to hear everyone's perspective at the same time, and like the conversations that go on while people are still playing. I really think that's like been one of my favorite things recently, because it's like, you know, there's only so much solo content you can watch before you're just like, I want to watch everybody do things. And like, you know, not a lot of players really like do stuff like this where they have podcasts and stuff like that. You know, there's like other people in the community that do a lot of stuff like that. But it's almost like as close as you'll get to something like that, but for players, because like, they're all waiting to play, but they're all talking about the game or like just bantering in between. And I think it's actually, like you were saying, like it's been some of the, I wish we had more of that, honestly.
Nick
Yeah.
All Stars Brawl is a new opportunity. It's
Yeah,
time.
that's what-
Doubles tournaments. Everybody's got to
Yeah.
be in the same Discord call.
Yeah, I personally just think the biggest issue right now, in my personal opinion, I think the reason why we don't see a lot of that is, I mean, you know, it was, I don't know why, but even tournaments offline, at one point they just stopped doing online, team tournaments in general. Even though team tournaments was like the hypest thing before the actual tournament, but they just shut it down. I'm not sure why. You know, I'm not a TO at a big major. But yeah, they stopped that. But I also think like, yes, team tournaments on offline is super good. Team tournaments is like naturally great because again, you get to see all the perspectives and things like that. So that is important. However, I also think another biggest issue is like, you know, I feel like another like player and commentator like doing like stuff like that is super good too. But again, like we already have like this war going on where, you know, everybody is right and the other person is wrong. So you know, it's always like there's
that
too many too many things, too many variables right now.
that kind of brings me to what I was about to ask, was like, do you think that like we also struggle with content in the scene because of like the cliques that we've talked about, like the mid-tier player, the high-tier player, the top player, the commentator, the TO, the stuff like that. These cliques that already exist kind of like separate people enough in some of the scene.
Yeah, it's because I think the biggest issue right now is just like, I think we live in a world where validation is just very powerful right now, and everyone wants to feel validated. And even if they're wrong of what they're doing or what they're saying, people want that unhealthy validation. I call it the unhealthy validation. It's not bad, but it's unhealthy.
Right.
Like for example, like soda. You drink like 35 sodas at once. Something might happen. But
Yeah, you're not gonna be doing
yeah,
good. It'll taste great the whole
yeah,
time,
it
but
tastes
after
great.
you'll feel horrible.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's just like soda, for example. Too much of it is just not good for you. But I think that is the biggest issue. It's like all of these clicks, it's like unhealthy validation, and it's like because they are a certain thing, it's not a wrong. It's not a wrong of what they're saying. It's not it's always a right. And until somebody challenge that, and then depending on who that person is, whether or not they're validated or not, it's very bad. It's very bad.
It's
Even in
like a
my
social
community,
media
like
hive mind, right?
yeah, it is. And like even in my community, like I always tell people like, yo, it's okay. Like we're here and we can all have our differences. Just if you're going to be different, just have like a strong like argument to like last more than 5 seconds. And when I can give you an example for that, it's like, for example, I'd be like, yo, I think strike damage is too high. And they'd be like, I think the damage is fine. And I'm just like, well, I don't think so. And like, you see how long that ended right there?
Yeah.
But then what if you be like, I think the damage is okay? It's because when you look at characters like this who don't do damage, blah, 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 blah. You see how like I keep going? And then I
Right.
could be like, well, yeah, that's true. But you got to look at it like this. And then like, it's in conversation
Yeah.
rather than just ending in 5 seconds.
Like
Because
not instead of you yelling at each other like the whole time.
yeah, exactly. And that's the problem is people they just they talk about something that don't have a long duration of like it don't have like it like ages like milk, basically. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't last long. Rather than it's something like wine, where this can go for a long time. And like that is the that's the issue that we're having. It's like, it's just people just like yelling at each other. Like, and versus it's like, oh, I get it from your standpoint, I get it from this standpoint, stuff like that. So I honestly think like yeah, it's unhealthy validation right now. That's just the biggest problem for me. And just the biggest problem in general. It's not even me, it's just that's what I see. It's a big issue and like I think everybody should have some type of appreciation thing, but there's also people that probably don't they probably think like, oh well, I should be getting more than this type of thing, right? And it's always gonna be a type of like somebody's gonna be unsatisfied at the end of the day.
Can't make everyone happy, right?
You really can't.
It's man, I feel like we've talked about so many good topics already. I'm honestly just excited. It's been deep, and I love that. This is like exactly why I wanted you to have me on. It's such a cool insight to have across everything. Just because the scene as a whole right now is just like so weird. Like we're riding highs and then we're shooting low like instantly. And like on one end we're like, look, they're announcing 5 games and all these games are getting IPs, and like they're all getting all these events are coming back, and like, oh my god, they just announced Frosty Faust things and Arc Revo and all these things are happening. On the other side, it's like, yo, it's this player, this commentator, they hate each other's guts, and it's public information and everyone sees it every day, and you're like, man, like
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
And it's crazy, believe it or not, I'm actually on 3 side of the coin because I was a TO, I was I commentated, and I also am a player that I competed and won a couple events. So I have
Creator, give
a
yourself
lot.
4.
Yeah, content creator, influencer. There's a lot of variables.
Yeah.
Yeah, like but I can generally say that I watched everybody say what they had to say, and I disagree on everybody because everybody is actually BSing, which is funny. And I'm not saying like everybody as in like every single one, but the majority of the ones that clearly don't know what they're talking about are just mashing on words. TOs, they have it rough. I know because again, I run a offline event and I ran an offline local and like just to like kind of like make like type of like contract deals, you have to have a certain amount of number, hold in and stuff like that and just things like that. And what I try to do is I use the money that we split it, and I try to pay like the commentators, and I try to like feed the streamer, and sometimes we don't even have enough. We got to use our own pocket. So like I can just imagine at a big ass, I can just imagine at a big old major, you probably like walking home with like $30, But
Yeah.
I understand that, and I get that, TOs is not like not everybody's Evo, basically,
Yeah.
So and I think a lot of people actually think like their logic is like, this team, this event is Evo, that event is Evo, and that event is Evo. When all you guys are just making an event and like it's a gradual growth. And that's good. It's a gradual growth, but at the end of the time, it's like it's more of just kind of like it's like a very important hobby, but actually a lifestyle too. And the lifestyle starts dying out when you don't feel appreciated.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's been the biggest issue. But the problem is players they just walk inside and they don't think about any of this. They just think about me winning. And then when they lose, they think about Salt. So like you got to think of like Salt speaking out, and they don't understand their surroundings and like how production works and things like that, how sponsors work. All that stuff, right? I know that shit is hard.
Yeah, it's like a complete network. It's like a spider web. Like everything has to exist and be even and tied together for it to work. And like, you're a player. Like you come to the event, like you help a TO pay back the money or pay for a streamer or pay for other things that go on. Like you win some money, you're validated as a player, or you meet new people, you're validated as a player. A TO is validated by like, like breaking even on their event, making the venue happy, making the players happy, making the streamer happy. Like everyone
no
has
damages.
Yeah, like
safety.
Yeah, everybody has to like everything has to coexist at the same time, and like once one piece just starts to snap, it just like it starts like a snowball effect, and it all just crashes on top of each other for things that like don't even have to exist, right? And like it doesn't matter who starts the fire, where it comes from a streamer, a TO, a player, anything like that. It just once there's the disconnect, like everything falls together because it's such a like an ecosystem that it has to connect.
Yeah, I agree. And from a TL side, I'm like, yo, that's that's pretty rough. And obviously production has to be the biggest, in my opinion, has to be the biggest priority, right? Because you want your house to look good. Let's be honest, like so that means that this is where the commentary comes in, right? And then you got the commentator saying like, we don't get paid the day of the event, whatever, blah 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 blah. This is not, and like this is not, and then but that's the thing. It's like from a player standpoint, they don't have the information that they probably don't get paid. They probably don't have to experience what you're experiencing, but you word it so wrong that it actually makes them right. And like the way your wording is so wrong, you actually making them come in and correct you, and it makes you look bad. And that's the problem. It's like the poor wording. It's like you're mashing on words and you don't know what you're talking about, And again, from like the from the commentator standpoint, like, commentator takes a lot of work. I personally believe, and this is just me, I'm only saying this because I'm only saying this for me personally, how I look at it, because I think the way I go by things is a little bit more like it's more talent than skill that you have to learn. Is because I already can talk and play at the same time. Commentating just makes that even more easier because I'm not playing and I'm just watching. I think the hardest skill, honestly, is like to talk with somebody that you don't know if you haven't synergized with them, stuff like that. That's like the commentary skills. But when people say people commentating got it easy because they get paid, that's the dumbest thing ever. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not easy. Like to be able to talk and then be able to synergize with somebody else you don't know is actually hard. It's actually really, really rough.
It is, yeah.
So
and
commentators get shafted on paychecks for months and months and months. Like that
yeah,
happens all the time. Like
yeah,
they get paid. Like
yeah, they have to wait too, But I also
Everybody waits. Like, and people act like when events end, TOs are just like, let me just start counting the hundreds right now since we took all these venue from people. It's like,
yeah,
well, they have to get home and once collect themselves and be like, all right, let's budget everything out of all the money we made, and then we can start to plan the attack of how we're gonna get people paid. Like, people know that like when TOs go home after events are done and they finally get to settle down for a second, they have to go right back into the office mode. Right there, you go from event mode to office mode, and then you do all your own back-end stuff from there.
right. And then also another thing too, there's only like a couple of commentators that actually even get paid decently. And on top of that too, like I think the only argument that is only fair for the player that I'm standing by, and no one said this. I'm saying it because I visually see it because I experience it. Is when you get signed for a job, as long as you show up on time, you're okay. But as a player, you could show up on time. If you get your ass whooped, you go 0-2, you ain't getting paid. And anybody ain't even gonna know you even at the event. But everyone's gonna know that this person's at the event because they're on camera. So when it comes to like getting marketing and like getting like that production time, like yes, commentator gets it very well on that aspect. But the problem is that wasn't the argument. So that's why the players are wrong, because you're arguing about money, and everybody's waiting. Like
Everyone is
like,
waiting.
Everyone's waiting. But you see how it is, like poor wording. It's like if they would have said like, "Yo, as a player, it's very hard to market yourself because if you don't do well, then you all of a sudden you no one will know you're there. But as a commentator, everyone knows you're there because you're doing the top 8 of it. Blah 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 blah. This is not. But there was no productive argument and things like that. It was literally about money, and that's the problem. That is the problem. It's everybody's mind is on something completely out of the actual issue that people should be talking about. So the fighting game scenes, and not only the fighting game scene, but the players, commentating TOs can get more stability and more growth together. But the problem is these guys' logic is like, I have to bring somebody down to bring myself up. And it's
there's always someone that you gotta step. Like they think that like you have to step on someone to push yourself higher.
Crabs in the bucket, dude.
They never stop playing fighting games.
They never stop mashing, dude. On Wake Up.
It's true. It's it is such a weird thing, and like I honestly think I'm like really happy that you came on like during this week, just because like right now this conversation is at like such a all-time like volatility, which is it's been rough, and it's nice to know like people who see it from multiple sides of the coin, because like it is so many things, and the mashing on words really is like the whole argument. Really, it's like it's not that anyone's right or wrong, it's that you force someone into a position because you're just saying you're phrasing things the wrong way.
Yes, and then the person who jumps in is correct regardless if that wasn't the real issue.
Right. The next person in the thread who comments under you just beat you out, and now you have to.
Yes. Now you have to counteract.
Now you have to play tag, and it's like so weird.
It's annoying, dude. That's why like, when I see stuff like that, I'm just like, well, here we go again, bro. Circle of life. They're just walking in a circle. And then, like people don't like being told what they do. So I just be like, well, you'll learn the hard way. I'm gonna do what I'm doing. What I'm doing, I feel like it's successful. It's helping a lot of people out. I've had a lot of people tell me how much they improve as players and how they are doing all of these milestones as their first fighting game. And I'm like, yo, this is godlike. So that's what I'm happy about. And as long as I'm getting those type of results from the people who was taking the time of their day and giving me the seconds of their time of watching my stuff, that's what matters to me the most. That's why I don't be arguing, because I be like, you guys could, grab each other in the legs and throw each other in the bucket all you want. If you want to get out, y'all gonna have to get out together, because one of you guys ain't gonna let each other go. So
that's the whole thing. If we like the ecosystem, if everyone just helped each other, it's insane. I feel like where this community can just flourish too.
Yeah, I mean, I was gratefully to be able to get help. I didn't just wake up and just thought about this. I had a lot of people take the time. Justin Wong took the time, and just kind of showed me, like, he was like, bro, if you're really serious, you got to come to stuff like this. You got to start selling yourself here. You got to start talking to these people. You got to sell yourself, man. You got to just try your best, and it's going to be a lot of no's, but out of like those 12 no's, you might get one yes. But the whole moral story is you just have to push yourself out. And I was like, huh. So I started doing that, and slowly but surely I started having like partnerships with like certain companies and things like that, and we've been doing like fun collabs and like dope collabs, and I have more opportunities coming, and I have a lot of announcements going to be coming pretty soon too, and it's all because of just me going out and talking. Like, I am talking outside of the scene. The only way for the scene to grow, only thing for anything to grow, is you got to go get the nutrients, you got to get the ingredients, you got to go to wherever you want to plant shit, you got to plant it there. But for you to do that, you got to go and get it first.
Yeah.
Well, just last time we talked, but you're the metaphor king of the FGC, and I hope you just hold that title in your heart.
Thank you, bro.
You really are just like you're taking the conversation in great places. I like the last thing you just said about like looking outward to pull in, and everyone helps from that way. Like I don't know if you follow the Purple Sharpie on Twitter, but she
Yeah, I do.
She's
cool.
She tweeted like last week, like, we all as a scene would grow so much if we just stopped like being like almost like shut-ins to the rest of the world and been like looking outward to these companies and brands and like trying, and not even always succeeding, but trying to get people to be like, hey, we're over here, we're the fighting game community, we have good stuff to offer. Like, the more we step out and pull more people into our community, the more we all can grow. The more sponsorships and stuff like that, the more teams that are looking our way, like, it helps everybody. Maybe not right at once, but like it can help everybody in the long run, for future generations to come. Like, a team like Complexity, if they pick up a fighting game player, all the Complexity fans are like, oh, let's check out fighting games. That's a whole new like generation of people that can be brought into this scene.
Yep. But I think the biggest issue right now is like a lot of people don't have marketing, like, talking skills.
Yeah.
They don't have the talking skills, and because they're so stuck in like, oh, I just want to do things my way because I got a trophy here. I got this here, so like I deserve this. So I don't really use the word deserve at all. And the reason why I don't use it is because I don't ever want my mind to believe when I do something, I deserve something.
Right.
I look at it as like, I've earned this. I earned this shit.
Yeah.
So like I go for it like, yo, I've earned this. Like, I did this because I've earned it. I got this because I've earned it. I worked for it. So I don't have the mindset of just like going in and just expecting like, like cookies and cream, and like that's a lot of issues that a lot of people have. It's like, because they're a player in their respective scene, that they deserve cookies and cream because they did this, but no one knows who you are. So how are you going to get like cookies and cream if you didn't earn it?
Yeah.
The only way for you to earn it is to go get it. And then when you get it, you earned it because you went to go get it.
I mean,
Well
yeah,
said.
it all just makes sense. Like, I think the scene, especially in the last like 5 to 10 years, has become more than like, I won some tournaments. It's just like, now teams are like, I don't care. I don't care that you did that. What can you do for me? Do you make content? How are your calls to action? Do you have a community behind you? Or are you like, oh, dude, it's, Jim Bob got, 7th at this tournament. It's just like, being a player is one thing, but like, you have to be more than that now. And like, the way you earn those things is like you're saying, like, you go into places, you're talking to people, you're like, hi, I'm Kizzie, talking to these brands, talking to these teams, and anything in between. Like, just being like, oh, I hope someone notices I got 5th place at the monthly in Dayton, Ohio. Gee, I hope some team picks me up from that. Like, it's so much more than that at this point.
Yeah. And like, I think another thing too, I think online kind of makes things like that too, because, since there's no like, since everybody eyes is just like, streaming and stuff, they just think like, oh, well, I am just entering online tournaments, I should get an opportunity. And it's just like, no, what do you, as you said, what are you providing? What are you doing this? What are you doing that? like, yes, good stuff. You won this money from the Matcherino stuff, but because you won something that does like that's the thing, and because you won something, you don't deserve anything. You know, like some people get lucky. You know
Yeah,
that
of
is the
course
thing.
that
That is the thing. Like
exists.
some people got lucky, but in general things, that shouldn't be the mentality that you have. You should be asking yourself, like, if I want to do this, I need to start investing into myself to build myself.
As a
So maybe
brand, right?
yes. So maybe use that money to like, buy stream equipment. Maybe use that money to buy like, like editors, stuff like that. Like, probably win a tournament and then be like, oh, that's my editor money. Something like that. Like you gotta have that type of mindset. Like you can't that's just how it is, bro. And like if that's too much for you, then like, maybe you could try to keep hitting that lottery and maybe that one chance you get something. But also too, you have to bring something to the table outside of like just winning, because you can win, but if you don't know how to talk to people, like how are they gonna why should they sign you? It's
Yeah,
like
it's not even like a thing anymore because now like I know like you guys have recently been doing with Panda like you guys have the Panda fighting game channel now. Like I've seen a lot of videos of like you and Giuna doing like content pieces. Like years ago maybe teams were just being like, oh, like this person paces well, we'll pick them up. But now it's just like you have to be someone in the brand. You have to be a brand inside another brand if you want to be on these teams. You have to be above and beyond and go above and beyond than the where the bar was.
Mhm.
I mean,
Exactly.
I think a big piece of it too is just like, what do you bring into the table in the fighting game community? Because only one person gets to win those tournaments. It's not
Right.
like it's not a team thing. Like there's one winner, and it's not always going to be the player they pick up. So like, what are you doing for the team? Like when you're not that person.
Right.
Yeah.
Like like a lot of people actually, believe it or not, they actually I've been seeing a lot of people like, I watch streams randomly. Sometimes I personally like watching like small streamers because I feel like they kind of engage a lot. You get to hear like what they see things and stuff like that. So I watch like a lot of small streamers. And, a lot of people actually don't like a lot of the things Panda do, believe it or not. We got a lot of people who don't like us. And
Oh
it's a
no.
lot of people, yeah, it's a lot of people I know that say they vibe with me, but then they actually don't like everything we do. So I also think it's very interesting. And the reason why they don't like it is because it's something new. It's something new
Right.
that Panda is doing. And because it's getting recognition outside of itself, people are like, why are people liking this shit? It's because their mind is still stuck
Yeah.
at like
At
the
that
old stuff.
the old ways, like right?
Yeah, the old ways. And it's
Like
not because of old veterans. It's not the veterans. It's actually just people who just been in the scene for long and they just been there, and their mentality. It's not even like veteran players, because I don't even know what determines a veteran player. Like, oh, because you've been playing at a tournament for 30 years, that makes you a veteran. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I look at
it's
I look at veteran players like, Stanford. Stanford, he won multiple events, still playing. That's a veteran player, right? I'm sure if he was a good coach, he probably would be a great coach. He probably would also, quit Street Fighter 5 again next week. But, overall, I think he's a veteran player. Genuinely. I genuinely believe he's a veteran player, even though he might quit next week. But Justin, people like Justin,
right.
like all of these players that just been around for a long time, like, veteran players, Alex Valle, we can't forget about Valle, John Choi, I look at those as veterans, and I don't hear anything from them really besides Stanford. Everybody else is kind of just doing their own thing, but then it's like people that just been playing like all these games from scene for a very long time, and they're just like, they just don't like what is being brought to the table, and it's because it's like, it's not the thing that I was raised from. And it's like, well, not everybody is designed to basically live the way you live and learn the way you learn. Some people
Right.
just want to come in and just be a fan of it. I was like, why is it a problem now that people actually just want to watch these people play? It's because they don't want to watch you play. I mean, if that's the case, then that sounds like jealousy to me, homie. And you got to get your priorities adjusted to. Just
Yeah.
just tell me, just be honest. Just be like, well, that's the thing. It takes a lot of pride. And no one's going to tweet out, man, I am jealous of this guy. I'm jealous of Panda. I am
Yeah.
jealous of these Panda elders. I'm jealous. No one's going to use the word jealous. People are going to be like, that shit is whack. You know why? Because it's easy to attack and protect your pride at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah, I think a skill that like the FGC doesn't have too is the ability, and this is this is super apparent in the just the conversations around games lately, but no one has the ability to say, "Oh, that's just not for me." Like everyone has to say that's trash. There's
Yeah.
no one's ever like, "Oh, cool, not my thing."
Yeah,
Everyone has to be like garbage, like freak
yeah,
out, every
yeah,
time.
yeah. And the reason why is because being negative is just, dude, people like that shit. You know why?
It
Because
farms
it,
social interactions, like for social
yeah,
media. It's easy
it's like
farming.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, yo, like if I tweet out right now, yo, I hate the color red. Somebody who also hate red is gonna be confident enough to also
Spitting,
say,
quote retweet,
AO
yeah,
spitting.
spitting
Yeah.
facts.
Facts.
You know, and then all the
Always
people
knew
who
you
like,
were a real one for that.
yeah, I always knew you was a real one for that. And then the other people are gonna be like, bro, subtweet you low. Like people who hate red actually are not good at fighting games. And you're just like, whoa, how did you get that? You know, and stuff like that. It's like, yo, people who always bash on red, like they have no taste, and then it's a whole argument, and then it's like beef, and it all
from
started
nothing. From nothing.
yeah,
Man.
from nothing, because people just pay attention to that. But if you say something like how Sharpie said, like, yo, if you sell yourself out, this and this and that, like this is how you do things, people gonna look at it and be like, you're just saying that because you got lucky and it worked for you, or a lot of people gonna be like, yo, facts, but then they're not gonna follow any of the direction. Like it's just gonna be, people are gonna see it, but people are just going to ignore it. You know why? Because they feel like they are being attacked subconsciously. But in my eyes, I didn't even know she tweeted that. But in my eyes, I'm like, yo, she knows. I'm like, oh yeah, she knows. Like I'm hyped because now I know that if I ever see her out in the open, we already got the same idea and the same interest, and we already got the same meta. We've been like, yo, who did you talk to? And then we're gonna try to exchange and then
And
see
then
what
the
they're working
network
for,
grows, right?
and then the network exactly. So
It,
by naturally, I already know that if I ever see her that way, we already have the same wavelength. Like we gonna go out and just try to branch out and bring people in here. And then if people find us, then we can introduce us from different perspective, from a woman's perspective, from a different game, from a man's perspective for a different game, et cetera, blah, 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 blah. And they see diversity, blah, 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 blah. Anything that brings interest, whatever, right? It's the whole core purpose. But people don't think like that. People just say me. People would be like me, 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 me. But then they don't go out and do the me. They go out and do the negative, like the opposite. They sit in their room and they be like, I
Twitter
deserve
fingers.
this, and match on words. I
Yeah,
deserve this.
it's
And
that's very funny. It's just it is such a weird thing. Like me. Like if we just were like, wait a minute, us. What about us? And then like the whole idea just gets blown up. Like it's so
dude, so
interesting like that.
so when I made that tweet that I was like, yo, I am open and welcome and helping with like working with everybody. I did like 4 things already, right? And like I was happy. I was like, yo, let's go. That's tight. There's people that actually is trying to like do some stuff. Like I'm willing to do that. Like I literally am like I have a tournament come out in like 2 weeks, and I'm literally prioritizing helping people right now than winning a event, because my priority is to grow, right? So like, yeah, I can win a tournament, yeah, that's nice, but like, what about like the long game, right? Or what about like, okay, let's say if I next year because we did this, our events got bigger, just hypothetically speaking.
Right.
Well, now if I go to a tournament again, now the winning is going to be bigger. It's going to be better. The production is going to be cooler. Everybody's going to be in it. Blah 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 blah. Like that's the kind of mindset I'm thinking.
And yeah, and we all end up benefiting for that. Like something like this. Not saying particularly this, but like something like this that lives forever. Something how this gets like passed to someone on like a board's desk, and they're like, you should check this out. Kizzie was talking about some stuff in the fighting game community, and like maybe we can work this into like this event or something that's happening, and then everybody goes to the event. From like pot monsters and O2ers to top players, and everyone has a better time. It affects everyone positively, and we can just grow from there. It's there. I give you a lot of respect for that. There's a lot of people in the scene whether they are TOs, creators, whatever they are, players, who it is hard to get a hold of and being like, hey, would you want to do a podcast? Would you want to do a collab, an interview, something like that? It is, but like, you're like, yo, I'm down to do this with everyone. And it doesn't matter, like, if you're saying like, it doesn't matter, like, you'll do an interview show, you'll do a podcast, and like, that's so cool because it really, it helps for people that really like enjoy you and like have their eyes on you. They watch your content, like, oh, we get some long form stuff, and then it helps people like me or Pinto, or it's just we're trying to grow in the scene, and it really does benefit everyone.
Yeah, so I that's why I was just like, yeah, like I now have the time to like be able to kind of like help and look out, and also it also helps me out too, because it also allows me to understand from like other people in the scene perspective of what they see, and I probably missed something that I don't even know and things like that. So it's not only like it's like a one way, it's like a coexisting way, right? It's like a two thing.
It's all about the spider web.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's not like a one way thing. So that's another reason why I'm like, yo, I probably have people that like watch my stuff and I don't even think that they watch it. And like just hearing you guys, I'll be like, damn, I didn't even know y'all watched my stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like it's just like I'm just like, wow, that's cool, But at the same time, it's like I will only learn about people in my scene unless I talk to them. So that's why I go out my way and I try to talk to them. But what's crazy is when I made that tweet, there's actually an individual that actually took that personally, and now every other day he's like always saying something very spiteful about me, and it's actually very funny. So
I just take that personally. What
I don't know. I don't know, but I think it's very entertaining because I personally ignore it because I'm like, dude, like, you can take it however, bro. Like, it is what it is, dude. Like, I'm too old for this shit. Like I'm doing my thing and things like that. But if you want to think about me every day, bro, like just be nice. Yeah, yeah.
Is it someone who like opted out of working with you at some point or something like that? Like, what's
I mean, to give it like a straightforward thought, it was somebody that I just knew for a while, and like all of a sudden they started doing a little bit of like content for fighting games, and I guess they just kind of don't like the things that me and my team does, and because they're very bitter, and you could very tell that they're very bitter, that they just can't let go of things because they just have to talk about stuff that they dislike, which is every single day, which is not healthy for
poisonous.
anybody.
Yeah,
it's very poisonous. It's a slow process, but sometimes the problem is like people don't look in the mirror and see the poison actually affect them because they just look at themselves and be like, I'm doing the right thing, but they're not looking closely of like, are you really doing the right thing? And the craziest part about it is it's like I wasn't even targeting them or whatsoever. All I said was I've told the truth, because I had people who would message me privately and being like, yo man, like keep it up, bro. Like I'm really happy for you, blah 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 blah. And then I'll randomly be at a random Twitch chat and they saying the complete opposite, bro. They like it's literally like night and day. And I'm like, huh. And I don't even say anything because again, I'm like, okay, well, is that how you feel when I'm not around? That's cool. At least I got the truth, But yeah, dude, it's just like, people are just, they just don't like they don't understand how to process jealousy, right? They don't understand how to process it. So the way to process it is to hate on it. It's like, when you was young, you like a girl, you used to pick on the girl you like. That's kind of like how I look at it. Like somebody just want to pick on you because they like what you do, but they don't want to admit that they like what you do. And the reason why they don't want to admit it because they want to be what they like. But because they're not who they like, they're not the thing that they're like. They have to hate on.
Yeah,
and they have to bash on it. But
it's
then
like
the moment
high school mentality, a little bit.
Yeah, they're not what? They're not what?
They're not stopping and asking themselves why they're mad. They're just
being
mad.
Yeah, they're just being mad. And then when you get validated for it, it allows them to even be even more mad because now they're being encouraged to attack that. And then little that they know they're being influenced by negativity. And then they also being negative. But that's why I don't get mad. And a good friend told me, man, his name is Koogie. He used to run Broken Tier. And shout outs to Koogie. Koogie's a godlike person, man. He told me, he said, hey, don't look at it as hate. Think of it as hurt. They're just hurt. And when he told me that, I was like, yo, when I think about it, hurt actually is part a little bit a part of hate. So just hearing that, I was like, dude, that's actually woke. That's some woke stuff, you know.
That is.
Very
I,
woke. And
I
like
like
for,
that.
for me to always talk deep, that was actually way deep. So I was like, yo, I was like, my mind just like,
Put
whoosh,
that one in the pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put that one in the glossary, the fighting game glossary.
Oh man.
so that's why I don't really like, I mean, obviously I'm human. Sometimes I be like, this is great. This is great to have friends, right? I have a lot of great friends. I wouldn't say a lot. That's a little, well, it's a lot to me. Like 8 people is a pretty good amount. But I'm glad I have a handful of people that actually that I could trust. And like, when I do have the days that like I'm like, it's a little bit bothersome, I always get like the right advice. And yeah, they're just very supportive. And that's who I could trust. So, it's like that's why I'm always doing good. Is because I have sources that when eventually I'm not doing good, I have a healthy source that's going to give me the information that I need, whether if I need to hear it or not. It's one of those type of things. It's not all about lovey-dovey support. It's like, bro, you need to look at it like this. It's like a slap in the face, like snap out of it, bro. You
Don't be down on
okay?
yourself.
Yeah,
Stop.
yeah, don't yeah, do this, focus on that. You need to start doing this more. You gotta start doing this more. Like, just you're gonna be all right. Just focus on this. And then they check up on me, stuff like that. So like I'm good. I'm good. And it's
I'm
just
glad you're good.
yeah, it's just unfortunate that, not everybody has that type of foundation. And I feel bad for people, like that don't have that. So my goal is to try to share that type of foundation I have and spread it to the people that want something like it. And maybe they'll make a better foundation than I could ever imagine. And that's kind of like how the lifestyle that I live, right? It's, be better than before, So
I'm influenced.
yeah, I'm happy.
I'm reading. I'm listening to the good book right now. Honestly, you got me.
Yeah.
You got me thinking so many. You got so many ideas going around in my head already.
tGrass can
Yeah.
be editing this later, making notes. Can have the
Yeah.
notebook out while he's
Be like,
editing.
first thing I'm gonna write down: mashing on words.
Yep.
Don't let it happen.
Yep.
But
So
it's just it's so cool to hear this, from your perspective, and like I really what you just said at the end there, like be better than before, like that's so cool to think about. Like you never really like put that, you never really say that too much, but like sometimes you have that like subconscious thought about it. But I like that, there's so many. It's just cool to have you in the scene, man. You're doing a lot of positive things. I just want to say that. I'm happy you're
I mean,
around.
it took a lot of growing up, bro. I was a bad kid, but I got slapped. I got slapped to reality, And so being a bad kid and being a brat and growing up doing just I grew up in a bad environment, so you are a product of your environment. So
Right.
once I got out of that and I was able to kind of like smell what the world can provide and what I wanted from the world, and just what I wanted to do and establish myself. I had to grow. I had to grow. I'm not gonna sit here and be like I was here when I came out of my mother's womb. I was out here, with these facts and shit like that. No, bro, I was a badass kid, and then as a teenager, I was terrible too, but I was able to find the right mentor and just find the right uh place to get out and kind of like smell reality, and I'm very grateful that I was able to get that and get that. It was hard, it was tough, it was very emotional. It was a very emotional moment because no one wants to look at them and be like, man, I've been like, I gotta start now.
Right.
Like
Right.
I gotta start. I have to learn how to be like an adult. I gotta learn how to do this. Like there are certain things you can say. Like I gotta word myself properly. I gotta protect myself. I gotta protect others. I gotta, there's it's just like so many like rules that you just have to learn, and it takes literally a lot of like embracing because the reason why you have to embrace it is because there's a lot of things that you have to learn about yourself that you're not going to be happy about, and you have to embrace it and change rather than running away from it. Right? It's hard. It's one of those things where like you're never going to be proud about being like making mistakes. You're never going to be proud about it. But, it's all about perseverance and just holding forward. Shout out to Panda, but holding forward and just making a change and be a different. It's okay to be different. Just be a good difference.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna highlight that one and keep that around for everybody right there. That was really cool to hear.
Yeah. We try out here, dude. I'm like I said, I'm glad that I'm able to like be able to like kind of be a type of person that someone could actually watch my YouTube video and actually get the information that they need. And I told people in my community all the time. I said, honestly, I may be the first person that gets you in the door, but there's so many other people that might be able to like be the right connection and the right fit for you. So don't hesitate to try things out. Maybe I'm just the footy. Maybe I'm just the training wheels. And then once you don't need the training wheels, it's okay to go find somebody else, and like, this is what benefits me, things like that. Just as long as you just appreciate everything, right? Appreciate all of the aspects, right? Because that's the most important part, because that's how we all can grow. Like, say for example, you became like, oh, I became a top player, and like now LK is like a great person to watch. And then what if one of your friends was like, yo, man, I'm trying to learn how to get an introduction. Oh, you can watch this person channel. He's very good at like this level. And then if you waited to go to the next level, I think these are the guys. And that's how everybody gets benefited. Because now you got all of these options. Like now people didn't know about your tournaments, and then now everybody know about your tournaments now. And that's really dope. And I'm like, yo, all it took was somebody to enter and say, yo, this happens every Thursday, sign here. And people be like, oh, I didn't know that. Boom. There you go.
Yeah, it's been cool. It actually has helped a lot, especially on the TO side of things like that. Like having just one person that's like a little bit larger than life in the community, like, yourself, a Nokami, someone like that, like enter a bracket and you put their name and people click on your stream for that and they're like, yo, this event goes on at this day at this time and it's free on PC. I'm like, oh, they're like, oh sweet, let me get the Discord. And there's so many people like, hey, I watched last week and I want to join this week. When does all the signups and stuff go live? And I'm like, oh cool, welcome, glad that you're here. And like that has been like the last 3 months has been all that. Like my Discord went from like 200 members to almost 700 now, from people just joining week after week. And like obviously not everyone can come every week, but like there are so many people that like, know we exist and we have these events, and like that's like the cool part of running these events is that they're free and people are like, yo, this is good practice every week. I go to my local on the weekend after, and like, it really helps me out. Or like, people who don't have locals that come through and they're like, yo, this is the only thing I have, and I come through because it's like free and it fits my time schedule perfectly. Like I'm really thankful for it. And I'm like, that's the reason right there, baby. That's why we do this kind of stuff.
Right. And again, that's a lot of things that a lot of people don't see. They don't see it that way.
Right.
But I wanted that to be a fruition thing. So I'm very happy to hear that that's what's happening. It's because that's what it should be happening. Yeah, no, thank you for letting me run an event for everybody, But the problem is like, we not a lot. I'm only a minority that understands. The whole goal is for everybody to becomes a norm where everybody understands. So that takes a lot of work, But I'm confident that eventually everyone's going to wake up, and get out of the matrix, But as for now, the whole goal is to just let people know that, hey, you're asleep and you need to wake up,
Yeah, just turn the new page, man.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to, I guess one more like bigger topic I wanted to talk to you about is like, especially over the last year and a half, but really like the last 2 or 3 years, like the era of online tournaments has been like honestly kind of insane for the scene, in my opinion at least. Like people come out of the woodwork, these players that like, they don't have scenes or anything like that, they get to enter these events, and like we find out there are people all over the country, the world, that are just don't go to events but are actually like super godlike at all these games. Like, do you think that like how do you think that the online tournament era, how do you think it's boosted the scene at all? Like, do you think it's opened like a new chapter almost?
Yeah, I think it opened the chapter. I also think it's like very great for this. It has a double-edged sword actually. It does a lot of for the scene, but it also does a lot of bad things too. But let's talk about the good things first because I think the good things are extremely important. So I think it brings a lot of great people. I also think that it brings exposure to a lot of small streamers. Also brings a lot of confidence building and mental practice for people who want to start going offline that never got a chance to. And I also think that it helps people actually get along and talk and interact with other people outside of themselves and also join discords and be more social and be more open and all of these variables. I think it does a lot of like it's like comforting, and I think it does that a lot for a lot of the people who play online. And then it also introduced them to the scene and stuff like that. uh I think what brings the bad part is well let's start more of the good part. I also think online tournaments should be like more the way I look at online and like online tournaments for me personally uh is I think this is really good for people who don't have locals. I think this is something that is very good for them. And the reason why I think it's good is because when offline comes back, I think what companies should do is work with other streamers that and other online event TO organizers and do like events where if a winner wins this, they get a chance to go to like a qualifier event and do things like that and do like big things like that. And the reason why is because these players don't have any other option besides online. So I feel like at certain degree they should get rewarded and give an opportunity if wanted, to do something like that. Which is why I look at online tournaments for it. Don't. It's not for me. I look at online tournaments like these are for the players that are trying to uh, do something and like learn something and get an experience, get an opportunity. I look at like that as like it's not for players like me because I'm already well established. I can go to a tournament offline, no problem, right? And I could, play at my best at that environment as well. But I would like to see more new players come in. We can't see new players if the same top players that are like winning, winning these tournaments, right? But at the same time, also people want to watch them. So, I will enter and I'll play, like win or lose, I'll be like, yo, good stuff, blah, 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 this is that. But like my main heart is like I want the new people to kind of like if they want the opportunity, like get a chance. Like, like somebody like Razzle, right? Razzle's a prime example. They recently just came, they played BB Tag, and I think that was the only game that I remember them from. But they're also, putting their name out in like Guilty Gear Strive. So I think looking at them personally, I'm like, yo, get an opportunity to go offline. They did. And that's something that I envision. Like, yo, get an opportunity to do this, blah, 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 and things like that. So I think as far as like online events, I think it should coexist with the offline events, and then the online events could collab and do something for like the offline events, like a combo breaker online tournament where if you win these next 3 weeks, you get a free trip, room paid
Yeah, I was
for,
just
blah blah
thinking
blah
of
blah
that.
blah, and then you go to combo breaker like a crossover, and then I think if you could work with the online events and the offline events, that will also make it'll also make the event better because now you're kind of like cross advertising, right?
Yeah.
Cross advertising, and then that's how we all grow, and then that's how the players grow, and then that's how the viewers grow. That's how new people grow. All instead of because they'd be like, oh, there's an event going on at this time, at this place. I want to check it out. I didn't know. All it takes is just a lot of crossover. Now, here's the bad part. The bad part is again, uh, people are just looking at it as I want an opportunity, but they don't know what opportunity they want. They just want a sponsorship, and they actually don't know how that works, right? And then you got other people that's just like, yo, I want to keep, I'm gonna go all these tournaments and I want to win, and then if they don't win, they get burnt out very fast because they have
Yeah.
no goals, they have no objectives. They just go in there and be like, well, I'm gonna just try again tomorrow. I'm gonna keep trying, keep trying, right? But they're not pacing themselves properly. So it creates a mental burnout because they are forcing themselves to win something badly to get that one opportunity. It's like gambling, right?
Yeah,
And
it
you
is.
gamble until you gamble until you run out of money, and then you run out of money, you feel miserable because now you got to go home looking like shit because you don't got anything to provide for anymore. And
Right.
that's a big issue. And then on top of that too, it's like people on the internet making it seem very like very like, oh, if you win, then you're like the greatest. Now everybody wants to be the greatest, right? But you got to remember too, like this is only like a step forward to like a different direction, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the issue right now. It's like that's a big. I think that's one of the biggest issues right now.
Yeah, I like that a lot. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of that like stepping stones. I mean, honestly, like a lot of events really, when you really think about it, are all stepping stones. Like there is no like we're not always playing in circuits. Like circuits aren't a big thing. Like we're not playing in like leagues. Like it's one of the one things about fighting games that's very different as far as esports goes to like other things where you like, you know, Valorant, blah blah blah. You have all these qualifying tournaments. You go to like the big one and whatever country it's in, they have like a world champion. Like we have Evo, but like when Evo ends, like there's an event 2 weeks after. Like there's no off season or anything like that. We don't play in a season. It's kind of just like we're always going, and like that can definitely add to the burnout. Like if you're like, I'm entering 4 online brackets a week, I'm going to my local on the weekend, and then, you know, I do the same thing and then I wait till the monthlies or, you know, whatever regionals are going on. Like the stepping stones really like exist for everyone. It's kind of cool that they all also exist at the same time, because like someone could like, you know, go win like a huge regional or major, and then like, you know, some guy the same day wins his first online tournament, and like his stepping stone just began, where some guy just like made like his biggest achievement in the scene, which is it's just like, it's just cool to think about, but it also, it's just weird that it kind of exists.
Yeah, exactly.
That was one of the biggest like success factors to Dragon Ball Fighters as a spectator esport, is like there's so much narrative built out before like the pandemic when they had their world tours, and it was like, oh, who's going to earn the Dragon Ball? Oh, well, this player already has the Dragon Ball, so who's going to get the next Dragon Ball? And then like, who does that leave us with our top 8 at the world finals at the end of the year? Like, what are the stories? Like, you get the Goichi Sonic Fox rivalry, like all these little things that build up, and there's a through narrative for the season. Like, you know the narrative of season 2. Like, you remember when GT dropped and all the teams started forming around that, and like what tournament came next, and like who flourished in what way, like what was Kazunoko running at the world tour, because like that's meta defining. Like all these little aspects are driven by just the through line of, we have this event, then this event, then this event, you can earn Dragon Balls, and then there's a big finale at the end, and there's like
Yeah,
always the build up to that thing. Like that
yeah.
structure was super good.
Yeah, and then also unfortunate thing, the other bad side, it creates it actually creates the lack of creativity. And the reason why is because when somebody sees something win, it's like, well, I gotta hurry up and do this so I can get opportunity. So then you see everybody copy and paste and do the same thing. And it doesn't help that that these developers don't know how to simplify fighting games to make everybody enjoy it. So because they do a lot of mechanics where it's very straightforward, and they leave a lot of mechanics out on purpose, you know, everybody jumps to like the easy train, and like there's no creativity, and matches become less and less spectator friendly because everyone's doing the
Right.
same thing.
That's
Like,
true.
yeah, we like sort of saw it in the beginning of Strive, where it's like,
I mean,
so
it's
many,
kind of like in Strive right now. I mean,
like soul mirrors everywhere, Leos everywhere,
dude,
like these sort of characters.
dude, there was a tournament that a Soul Player won, and it was 5 Mays. It was
Yeah,
5
May's
Mays,
huge
one
right now.
Leo. It was 5 Mays, one Leo, 2 Souls, and like 1 Axel.
Yeah, it's like the rough part of like balancing too, like on the player side, but also like with Strive, like it's early, like I get that, like the game is still developing itself, its meta is still developing itself. There's a patch already planned for next month. Like the game is going through its stages, but like, you know, when games are like so broken, like a game like Marvel 3, right? It's just like you see a tournament, like you're gonna see more Doom in top 8, you're gonna see Zero May Cry, you're gonna see things like that, and like at some points for certain games at least, like the creativity just like is killed in some aspects. Luckily, a game like Marvel, like almost every character can do like an infinite, so you know,
Yeah,
you could
and also
be an Iron Fist player.
and then also teams got developed too. You know, like one thing I like, there was not a Justin one team. You know, Justin played, you know, Team X-Men. You know,
Right.
basically. So like, well, Team X-Men featuring Akuma.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, featuring Akuma. But you know, but yeah, as you said, yeah. But now because it's not a team game, and it's like, you just made it very simple now. It's like everyone's gonna pick, the most effective character to
Right.
win money because everyone's winning for an opportunity. So they're gonna keep their mindset of like, I need to win this, so I need to play what works. And then it becomes very obvious for every time you watch a match. It's like, oh well, we already know what's gonna come here. We already know what's gonna come there, blah 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 blah. Like that's just how it is. And I think that's the problem, because not only that the developers don't know how to simplify a fighting game without making the mechanics more simple for the players that understand a little bit of fighting games. Because at the end of the day, the biggest thing that is actually making affecting everything is, the people who play games professionally. They're gonna understand the game faster. So
Mhm.
how you say like the meta is being developed. Like, every time I go on Twitter, the character that has been developed the most is Soul.
Yeah.
Every time I see a new video, it's a Soul finding a way of how to TOD.
Which is
on
insane, by
Twitter,
the way.
which is insane, which is really, really insane, right? And it's like, man, and I actually like the fact that Soul has like these unique ways of doing that. And I think it's good for a character to have like so many possibilities. But why is there only one character? And
Yeah.
it's because that they missed the point that they feel like people have a hard time with. It's like no one has a hard time doing combos, because let's be honest here. Like, Guilty Gear has always been known for combos. Strive don't really have a lot of combos, but I could confidently say that Dragon Ball combos are 10 times harder than Guilty Gear combos. I could, in Guilty Gear Strive, I could say right now with the most confidence that Dragon Ball Fighter Z has harder combos than Strive. And then Dragon Ball actually introduced new players into Strive. So my logic is why did you think that people didn't want to do combos? You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
No,
So that's
yeah,
what
I
I'm
get
saying.
it.
It's like, yeah, it's
Combos are
like
never
a
the issue. It's
combo was never the issue. You
and
know what
like
it was? Information was the biggest issue, as we
yeah,
have on internet today. Misinformation.
like it's almost like we talked about at the beginning, like the whole like starter guides and everything. Like if it's almost like if they didn't plan to make the game so simple but still had these starter guides and like the good teaching tools that they finally implemented like pre-release, like people wouldn't have that issue, because like you just put the floor, the skill floor way higher than other games are. Like nobody's going in blind. Like the game comes out in a month, I know every button Kai has already, or like something like that. And like the games, Strive didn't have to be the game it is now. Like they wanted to go with a different direction to bring more people in, but they didn't have to do it if they just used better teaching tools, in my opinion. Like teaching tools and the information just had to be like better, more readily available for people.
Exactly.
With that October patch, right? They're supposed to add like a new mechanic, right? Is that what they
Right.
said? I think was the phrasing. What are you hoping for? What's like the mechanical change that you think will like elevate the game?
Man, honestly, I think the game is in a good spot right now in terms of like it doesn't need any mechanics. I just think they just need to use the mechanics that's in the game and make it more accessible. That I'm using the word accessible like that because these developers have been saying that like for about 10 years. So they need to make these options more accessible, right? So YRC being penalized so badly where it almost make no one want to use it is also bad. It's just bad. 1 second. This number keeps calling me. 1 second.
Sure. Just mark this down. For editing this later. You good? Do you have to go soon or anything? You still have time available, Pinto?
Yeah, I got a little bit longer.
Okay. When do you have to leave at?
Okay, I'm so sorry, dude.
No, you're chilling.
I
You're
ordered,
chilling.
I ordered groceries, and like this person was waiting for 20 minutes telling me, "Do you want to leave your stuff at the door?" I said, I was messenger. I was like, "Yes, you can leave it there.
It's
It's
all
no
good.
problem."
It's all good. We'll
Yeah.
edit it out. No big deal.
Yeah. But
I got a little bit longer.
Okay.
But
yeah,
let's-
sorry about that.
no worries. So YRC.
Yeah, so basically YRC the biggest thing is literally, uh, it's hard to use, so you get penalized very hard using it because it's like, oh, if I do this, then I basically am penalized for meter for about 7 seconds. And then you look at instant blocking. Justifin. Justifin is so hard to do. It's 2 frames. And then you look at faultless Justifin, and you're like, yeah, all of these tools are really good, but it's so hard to do because if you do it, you're penalized so badly. So is it worth doing it? No. So instead of adding these new mechanics, you need to just use the mechanics that we have now and make it more useful.
Like flush them out more.
Flush them out more. I don't think we need any more mechanics. All we need is the damage to be toned down and the mechanics to be more accessible.
Yeah. Like I also feel like it's so early to be adding like a new mechanic to the game, just because like I swear every Thursday when I'm hosting a tournament, I see someone do like some crazy like fast RC combo. I'm like, I've never seen that before. I did not know that was a thing. And
right.
Like we don't even know everything that's possible on the current build of the game. And like we don't know if we're gonna get more or it taken away like in the long run. Like there could be something that could exist in the game right now that we just have no idea exists yet.
Right.
How much?
Exactly. So I think adding a new mechanic is only going to make it even more hard to like, adjust some of the key issues,
Yeah, it adds too many pieces to the already existing pie, right?
Right, exactly.
Like
exactly.
You don't just throw another slice of pizza on top of a pie and be like, that's a double decker. It's fine. It'll be fine like that.
Right, exactly. So that is the biggest issue that I just feel like all it's gonna do is just going to we just still have the same problem. So I'm just hoping that eventually we instead of just getting that, we just get like quality of life changes for the system. But they're just adding more stuff and adding more stuff and just adding more stuff, and people, it's only gonna be fun for a month, but then everybody's gonna be like, yo, we still need this. Yeah, we still need this. We still need this.
You know what's gonna happen too is they're gonna right now they're not competing. There's not another new title right now. They're competing with titles that have been out forever. But
until next
LT's
week.
Gonna drop, KOF's gonna drop. What did they? I saw some announcement for some like random anime game I've never heard of the other day, but it looked kind of tight. That's gonna drop
yesterday. I saw it.
Yeah. Nick All-Star is gonna drop. I'm gonna be main in Invader Zim. You got to pull me back to Zato. I can play Invader Zim now. So like,
yeah, exactly.
Why am I picking up Zato when I got Gur on deck? I don't know. Like, you got to sell me on that.
Exactly. And again, I agree with you. Because they don't have no competition, they kind of could just do this.
Yeah, they get to skate by.
Yeah, they could just escape by, and everybody has no choice because we have no other rollback game. But now with these rollback games coming out, and then people start leaning towards the fun, what you're gonna do now, right? But again, I'm a fan of Strive. I love Guilty Gear, and I like Strive a lot. But I also am going to point out the issues that I know it has. So I'm just hoping that it capitalizes rather than trying to like, oops your way in. I hope they actually make the right adjustments because I think the defensive mechanics in this game is great, hard to do. If you make that more accessible, then we will all be happy because you will be able to see more of a different outcome rather than the same outcome because people are now using these unique mechanics that has been locked in the game.
Yeah,
I feel like it's locked.
No, it makes sense. Like you're never gonna see someone like instant block FD some like a soul far slash and get a punish for it. Because like the moment you see that, you'll be like, "That's insane!" You literally haven't seen someone do it yet, but it's in the game. You know it's available.
Right. So
I think your read on this is so. Oh, sorry to interrupt you, Kizzie. Go ahead.
You think your read is what?
I think your read on this is so accurate when like I think back on like getting into plus R, right? Because this is my comparison point for all Guilty Gear things. Like the gap between being able to FD something in Strive and then the next step would be like IBing something defensively. Like that's such a wide gap. Whereas like when you look at plus R, there's 8 trillion defensive options and you learn the one and you're like, wow, I'm doing that. Oh, they're kind of reacting to that. What do I do now? Oh, dead angle exists. Oh, how do I start implementing that? Oh, well, now I'm feeling kind of ballsy. Slashback exists. Let's run it. That didn't pan out. You know what? IB's a little easier. Let's try that. And you get to like kind of finagle your way through these defensive options.
You get to
And-
finesse your way through these
Yeah. And it's like the gap isn't there. Like you're climbing a ladder instead of having to like jump 10 stories. You know?
Right. And that's the thing that the developers are like missing the point is they think that new players can't do these things. And it's not that, it's because when you look at a package, look at Street Fighter, for example. Street Fighter 5 example. When the game came out, it had no offline single player content. So I'm like,
zero.
so you expect these new players to just go in and just play online, and you know all the good players are rookies right now. So he's just out here getting murked, and you know it's all this stuff happening, right? And they have nothing to play besides survival mode. And you're telling me that like that's how people learn how to play fighting games. The tutorial mode and introduction where you can trash. It tells you how to move forward, move back, jump, throw a fireball, V trigger, V reversal. That's all it did. It didn't teach you anything about fighting games. Guilty Gear Strive, for example. Yo, you get a 5-hour story mode content, tutorial mode that tells you don't even tell you about the roaming cancel system. And it tells you to go to mission mode. And then mission mode only gives you bare minimum of the things that you need to do to even do the move. But it don't teach you fighting game.
Yeah.
It don't teach you fighting game.
Yeah, it's the similar thing where it's like, you know, watching professional sports, the same thing. It's like you see Steph Curry shoot the three, you're like, I know how to shoot a 3-pointer. You know how to throw a fireball. You're like, I don't know how to get open on a basketball court. To shoot the three.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Like I don't know what a block string is to open someone up. Like you're like, what does that even mean? How do I get to that point?
Exactly, and that's the problem. Is everybody is only seeing I'm open. They're never seeing like how to create an opening. They're thinking about they're going to step 2 before they go to step 1, and that's the problem with like you know some of the players today. It's like everything is step 2. It's never step 1, and the reason why it's like that is because these games don't tell you about step 1. They only tell you about step 2. No one's gonna sit there and be like, all right, set up.
Yeah, it's yeah, they're like, all right, set up your Oroboki or whatever, and like high-low me. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, all right. Yep, you did it, bro. You did it, Steph.
Yeah.
You're not playing with your little brother. Like, hold up, let me charge up the Samus Blast, and then we can.
Yeah, there we can play.
Yeah.
Let me put the Jacko minions down, and then we can get going.
Yeah, there we can get going.
Do you think what game, in your opinion, you think has like the best teaching tools to teach you how to play fighting games?
MK11, Guilty Gear Rev 2, Undying Birth, Killer Instinct, Skullgirls, them Fighting Herds. There's another game I'm missing. That's really good. I think it's those 7 right there are actually really good.
Character tutorials are so goated.
Yeah, I think those 7 games are they are top tiers in their own way. But I think the best. I think if I had to pick number 1, I'd have to say MK11.
Yeah, MK11 was really thorough, and it made
it taught you about footsies.
It literally did teach you footsies and like when to use meter on like a punish and stuff like that. Yeah, I could think of that, and probably the other one in my head that I think is really, really great is Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct was just like, yo, you're going to learn how to do a complete, like, how to do all your combos and how your character completely works before you go online.
Yeah, like tutorial mode should feel like trials.
And it should, and that's rewarding too for players, right? Like, yeah, like you can teach. And it can be more than just combos. Like you can learn so many things through trials, and they still feel rewarding. Like game teaches you a safe block string. Game teaches you like, look, this is your long range poke button. Like outreach your opponent in neutral as they walk around and throw out this button. Like these things should be in every game. They teach you how to play the games, not just be like, yeah, this is your like 80 damage soul combo. Like here you go.
You know what I'll give Strive is that their tutorial fails, but where they succeed really heavily is the pause menu move list. That pause menu move list is so
it's dude, Granblue did it, and I was like, yo, I hope Strive does it. And Strive did it. I was like, yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Dude, like,
That should be a norm for every fighting
game.
game, bro. Anybody who could visually see how the move looks so they could do it that is a big brain decision. Like that is great. So
and
that's why I said strike.
What's it for is so big too. Like, what's this move for? Like,
Yes.
it's an invincible reversal. You use it, like, if you use this version, it's faster. If you use this version, it's more damage. Boom. I don't have to sit there and lab for an hour to figure out what the gap is between these two versions. Like, I just read it and we're done.
Facts.
Just 5 seconds.
Facts. And that's remember what I said, like the content on the go.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you help people, is get stuff on the go, so let them learn on their own pace, because they got the information they need and they don't got to sit here and wait 17 hours and then they like, okay, I don't remember all of that 17 hours I just read, let me go back.
That's the problem with a lot of games.
Whether you could go in and you could like, let me go back to the quick, let me get a bite of the sandwich, let me get a bite of this, boom, you know what I'm saying? Just quick, efficient, effective, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, that's the problem that we don't have. Is we don't have we have a fighting game glossary, but again, how is the audience coming in going to know about the glossary?
Yeah, it seems
So
like
it's not enough.
we have so many things for people that cross the initial hump, but we have no way to bridge people into getting to that hump.
Yes,
But that's our issue.
That is the developer's fault. There's nothing we can do. Like let me take that back.
Content creators can make things that can build around it.
We could do it. We could build around it, but it's still not enough, because you're still missing one aspect of the people in the world, which is the people you're trying to bring in.
Yeah.
You know, and again, not everybody uses YouTube. Some people just want to buy a game and want all the information in that disc.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like games like Call of Duty. When you play Call of Duty story mode, it teaches you how to play the game.
Yeah.
It literally teaches you how to play the game.
Targets, knife the watermelon.
Shoot the target, knife the watermelon. Yeah. You need to use this to climb in. Use the stealth. Train your doggy. You know, it tells you all of it. Even give you little tastes of kill streaks. So you get a glimpse of all. Yeah, it gives you a glimpse of all of that in story mode. Why fighting games haven't done that yet?
Imagine if, like, in story mode for a fighting game, you slowly unlocked your special moves the way you unlock, like, a platformer's powers over time, and then, like, by the end, it's how well you put it all together.
Yep. Great. Amazing. You know, but the problem is these developers overseas, they don't have the formula yet. It's because they don't understand. And that's just how it is. They just don't understand, bro. And the problem is too, is they won't listen. And the only way for them to listen is for them to lose money. And when they lose money, they be like, what are we doing? Then we can tell them, you're not doing this. But it's hard to get to that point, because some people's mentality is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Even though it's just like, you know, wobbling and like on his last life.
It's duct taped together. That doesn't mean it's working well. It just works, you know?
Exactly.
It is interesting. It's so interesting because I feel like a lot of the indie fighting games are made from Western devs, and a lot of the popular fighting games are made from the Eastern devs. All the JP devs, you know, like anime is so huge in the scene right now, but like on the Western side, we have like a lot of the indie games. We have Mortal Kombat, which is the biggest Western game, and you know it has its own issues in itself. But like there are so many things you'd be like, yo, take it if you leave it. You don't have to like Mortal Kombat, but they're doing this, and this right, and all these other games are not doing that.
Yep. Exactly.
It's like if everyone could do like if we could get like Western things and Eastern things mixed into one game, and mainstream, like that's a masterpiece right there in the making.
Yep. Exactly. Sucks, man.
It is what it is as a community, but you know,
I'd say it's an inevitability.
It has to exist at some time. Like somebody will even if they do it by accident, somebody will check every box and will be like, this is the one. It has everything. It has the learning tools. It has the on the go learning like that. It's playable. It has all the features it needs from the single player side to the multiplayer side, the connections and everything in between. And you'll be like, wow, this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way we're the first people to have that idea. I'm sure someone else has that idea and can make it happen, you know?
Right. That's how I feel too, man.
All right, guys. We're about to hit the 2-hour mark. I think we might actually be calling it here. This is our longest episode, but I feel like this is So far, I think this is our best episode. If you made it this far, drop a like on the video. And Kizzie, I want to give you a second. Plug all your socials. What are you doing in the future? Any events you're going to, or anything you're doing?
Okay. Well, where do I begin, huh? Okay. We are. I'm going to be going to the Pinnacle. I'm also going to be going to CEO. I'm also going to be going to Frosties. Those are the 3 events that I am focusing on at the moment. If any events that I find interesting shows up, I will go ahead and update that as well. You can follow me on Twitter at Kizzie_K. Feel free to interact. When I get a chance to, I always usually respond unless you say something like out of this ordinary that just
Like you hate the color red or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know what to tell you. But you can also follow me on YouTube at Kizzie Kay. Also follow me on Twitch as Kizzie Kay 310. And shout outs to Panda. Shout outs to all my homies. All my little gremlins that hold me down. I mean, I can name them all right now. Suspect, Justin, Croden, you know, DSP, Chula, Visions, freaking Soros. Bro, I could keep going. My homegirl Eve, Victoria, Justin, Noel, Nancer, dude, I can just let me pull out my list, bro. Darren,
Shout everybody out. Yeah,
my cousin Darren, my boy Juices, man, Shajoni, dude, like I said, I keep going. Thank you guys for just tolerating me. Shout outs to my mods, my mods Sleepy, Ghost Dash, Kaizen, that's my boy too. Angela Pickles, Andy OCR, like, dude, shout outs to all you guys, man. Guys always holding me down. Shout outs to Nerd Josh, Everling. Those guys are amazing too. I have so many amazing people in my life, as you can hear in my voice, that these guys are just always there, and I appreciate them, and I do my best to try to actually, show appreciation to them every time I can. Yeah, dude. Those are the socials. You know, Shout outs to my sister. She's always like helping me out too in the morning. I wake up in the morning, I always tell her about all the stuff she's doing. She's like my oldest sister, one of my oldest sisters. So, shout outs to her. And yeah, dude, yeah, bro. That's literally what it is, man.
Thank you so much for coming on. Of course, guys, we'll have all of Kizzie's information in the description. So, like I said, if you made it this far, tell us what your favorite part of the episode was in the comments. This was a hell of a lot of fun to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, support the 3 of us if you can. We will see you guys in the next episode. I am tGrass. This has been Pinto and Kizzie. We will see you guys next time, and have a great night. Peace.
Thank you for having me.
Go be a Kissington.
Go be a Kissington.
Hey.
Support your boy.